Boulay, and I hope you're having a great day. Thank you for your support. Thank you for subscribing to the channel. Thank you for your thumbs up, for your comments, and thank you for sharing the videos. Thank you for all you do to support the channel. Well, I've been listening to different people discuss the Supreme Court's decision yesterday, and so I want to give my take on it. And my title is The Supreme Court's Decision Made Simple. I want to highlight some of the main excerpts from that decision because I don't think it's as bad as some people seem to think it is. But first, I want to speak on why I call myself Lady Boulay. I have discussed this in the past, but there are new subscribers and some of you have asked. So let me tell you now, I call myself Lady Boulay because when I first came to YouTube in 2017, I was not aware of the red pill and the manosphere and you save yourself black men. I didn't know those groups existed. So I would watch some of their videos, and these would be videos that were demeaning and degrading black women and saying all of these negative things about black women. So I would leave comments. I would make comments about it and things that I didn't agree with. And their response would be to call me a boulay ass nigger. That's what I heard several times. So when I decided to create this channel, I just said, okay, fine. That's what I'll call myself. I will call myself Lady Boulay. That is the only reason that I call myself Lady Boulay. I have 2 college degrees. I have worked in a professional area. I am married. I have a family. I go to church. And I belong to a sorority. And my husband belongs to a fraternity. So if that makes us boulay, I guess we're boulay. But my interest is with the black community. I've lived among black people all my life. Everybody that I care about in my personal life is a black person. I'm an educator and a mentor and a concerned black woman who cares about the development and the uplifting of black people. I am not and have never considered myself superior to or better than other black people. But I do believe that black people are an extraordinary group of people. I don't think I'm extraordinary. I think we are an extraordinary group of people. And we have been given an extraordinary assignment, especially here in America. And I do believe you have to be a superior type of people to accomplish that. And that is what we have accomplished. So if you want to call that boulay, then I'm boulay. And I think a lot of y'all are probably boulay too. Because I don't buy into all this other stuff about black people think they're superior, or black people think they're better than other black people. There's no way when we had the same experience. Okay, so now let's get to what I want to have the conversation about. And this conversation is coming out of the Supreme Court's decision to take race out of college admissions. And I have done more research and I have listened to other people who have studied what the judges wrote about their decision. I want to share some highlights of what Chief Justice John Roberts said because this is what everybody is referencing. He wrote, "The Harvard and University of North Carolina admissions programs cannot be reconciled with the guarantees of the Equal Protection Clause. Both programs lack sufficiently focused and measurable objectives warranting the use of race, unavoidably employ race in a negative manner, involve racial stereotyping, and lack meaningful endpoints. We have never permitted admissions programs to work in that way, and we will not do so today." So the 14th Amendment to the Constitution guarantees American citizens equal protection under the law. Now, isn't it very interesting that they are never concerned about equal protection where black people are concerned? So I found the first part of that statement contradictory. So he's saying that the way Harvard and the University of North Carolina administer affirmative action cannot guarantee equal treatment for the Asians since they are the ones that brought the lawsuit. Now the next statement gives his reasons for voting to end affirmative action. He says both programs lack sufficiently focused and measurable objectives warranting the use of race. Now, he's saying you're using race to let these students into these institutions, but you don't have a program that's focused on addressing or improving them as black students, and you don't have a way of measuring whether or not being at Harvard or the University of North Carolina is a better program for them than they would be at another school, at any other school. That is what I'm reading measurable objectives to be. And the reason that I believe he would say that is because they are assuming, and maybe rightly so, that black students are entering these universities with lower standardized test scores than Asian students. He then says that they unavoidably employ race in a negative manner. So he's saying it's unavoidable that they would employ race in a negative manner. I absolutely do not know what he means by that. I can't even imagine. He says they involve racial stereotyping and lack meaningful endpoints. So I don't know what the racial stereotyping is, except that they're assuming that black students can't perform on standardized tests as well as other students. That would be a racial stereotype because black students can. And the lacking meaningful endpoints, I think he's saying, where will it end? How much affirmative action is going to be enough? How long is this going to have to go before black people are remedied? I think that's pretty easy for us to understand. So the Chief Justice says nothing in this opinion should be construed as prohibiting universities from considering an applicant's discussion on how race affected his or her life, be it through discrimination, inspiration, or otherwise. But despite the dissent's assertion to the contrary, universities may not simply establish through application essays or other means the regime we hold unlawful today. So I think this gives clarity to the idea that you can't use race. He's saying that you can't just mark race black on your application and be automatically accepted. I don't believe anybody is doing that. I do not believe anybody in a university is just letting you in because you're black. I don't believe that. But what he is saying is that you may, in an essay, write to the university telling how your race has affected your life, whether it was through discrimination or inspiration or otherwise. This is the time that a student could tell about how their family wealth was stolen. You know, black people lost millions of acres of land all over this country during the Jim Crow era and beyond. And that land was a means of taking care of that family through farming and grazing cattle and livestock and other things. Those families lost generational wealth. So that would be a time that you could tell about that, or how you were inspired by a member of your family, but how you overcame adversity and became an outstanding student in your high school and graduated in the top 10 of your class, and how you were involved in community service, tutoring second and third graders, making care baskets to take to the nursing homes, going to the hospital and visiting children, reading stories, and whatever you're allowed to do with students that are in the hospital. There are many things that they could do that would look good on an application, in addition to having extracurricular activities outside of high school, just being involved in the community. Because if you are a valuable member of your community when you're in high school, you will be a valuable member of your college community. In his concurring opinion, Justice Clarence Thomas, who agreed with Justice John Roberts, reiterated his long-standing view that affirmative action hurts some of the people it is intended to help, including by stigmatizing students who would have been admitted regardless of race. He also argued that the Constitution requires colorblind government policies. Now, we've never seen those colorblind policies. That only gets applied when we are in the target, when we are the target. So somebody else can enjoy colorblind policies, but we have never enjoyed that. It's stupid for him to even say that. Chief Justice John Roberts comes back and gives us some statistics. He says, according to Students for Fair Admissions expert, now this is a conservative group. This is the conservative group that brought the lawsuit against Harvard and the University of North Carolina in the first place. And he's quoting their experts. He says, they say over 80% of all black applicants in the top academic decile were admitted to the University of North Carolina, while under 70% of white and Asian applicants in that decile were admitted. In the second highest academic decile, the disparity is even starker. 83% of black applicants were admitted, while 58% of white applicants and 47% of Asian applicants were admitted. And in the third highest decile, 77% of black applicants were admitted compared to 48% of white applicants and 34% of Asian applicants. Now, this indicates that the University of North Carolina was comparing apples to apples. It took the top black applicants and compared them with the top Asian. It took the middle black applicants and compared them to the Asians and the white students. And they took the third highest black applicants and compared them to the third highest white and Asian applicants. And really, that sounds like a fair way to do it. Now, apparently the Asian says that they should have gotten all of the slots. Also, when they start using percentages, you have to watch that number, because if they say that 80% of black students were admitted, what if only 20 black students applied? And they took 16 of them? That would be 80%, whereas 100 Asians may have applied and they took 70 of them. So they still have more Asians. So you have to be careful when white people start talking about percentages. You really want to know what the hard numbers are when white people are comparing black people and other people using percentages, because the black people are going to come up short. That's usually how it works. Now let me sum this Supreme Court's affirmative action decision up in a way that I think is fair. What I hear the Supreme Court saying is that you cannot just admit students into Harvard, University of North Carolina, or any other PWI, predominantly white institution, just because they're black. I think that is insulting to those institutions, and if they're doing that, they need to stop. But I don't believe anybody is doing that. This Students for Fair Admissions is a conservative group that has attacked affirmative action from the very beginning. These people want things to return back to what they were like in the 1940s, in segregation and basically Jim Crow, where they can work black people for nothing while they sit home under the shade tree chewing tobacco and telling lies. They want those good old days. By the same token, we are not our parents in the 1940s and the 1820s. We are an evolved and intelligent group of black people. And I think we should listen to what the Supreme Court said without panicking, with a clear mind and a level head. They did not say that black people could not attend Harvard or the University of North Carolina or any other PWI that they want to attend. But they're saying that you can't attend, just being black is not enough for admissions. Again, I think that's insulting. It's insulting to black students and it's insulting to those institutions. But they simplified it in a way that they could say, but this is how you can get into the school. You can tell how race has affected you. I don't think that's a bar that's too high. Intelligent black students can actually surpass that bar. They specified what a student could do to gain admissions. When you couple that with the fact that 80% of these predominantly white institutions have decided they are not going to use standardized test scores for admissions, then that opens another door for black students. But I cannot believe I'm saying this, but I agree with Clarence Thomas when he says that this affirmative action stigmatizes brilliant black students who could get into Harvard or Yale or any other school that they wanted to on standardized test scores, because we have excellent black students who do well on tests. So I don't believe that this is a bar too high for black students. What they're saying is, you write in an essay and give us some idea about who you are as a black person and how race has affected you. Not just saying that you are a black person, but saying how being black has affected you. And all of us have that story. Now, having said all of that, I'm going to repeat what I said in my last video. I don't believe anything is going to change. What's going to change is that black students who are qualified to get into any college that they want to get into will be able to get into those schools without the stigma of affirmative action, or you only got in because you're black, attached to them. And I think that's a win for those students. As for other black students, they're going to keep on going to school. There are more black students in college now than there has ever been in the history of the United States. These students are going to continue to go to school and thrive. Down here in the South, there are plenty of black students in these PWIs. And I have been to several graduations around the South. So I don't believe that this is anything for black people to panic over. I think that, again, I believe that Asians are going to be the ones that are going to end up disappointing. Because really, what kind of actual intelligence do you have when you got to spend 24/7, 365 days a year for 18 or 20 years of your life studying something that's in books that you memorize to pass on tests? That is not natural intelligence. And that's how come Asians don't invent anything, they don't cure anything, they don't make anything, anybody, unless they're copying off somebody else. And all we have to do is look at the car industry, look at the television industry. Black man invented the cell phone. I'm not going to go into this. I'm sure Asians do something, but they don't do enough to warrant all of this business about passing tests. And one thing we black people need to keep in mind, America became what America is without the help of Asians and without the help of most of these white people. But America did not become what America is without black people. That's what we need to keep before us. So I want you to let me know what you think about this. First of all, I think we agree that we don't even need to be begging these people to let us get into their schools. At this point, we need to be thinking about building our own infrastructure, our own systems, and our own institutions to the best of our ability. And stop begging these people to let us in these schools. In other words, let's pull back and let them come for us. Because I think they will. They always have. Stop struggling with these people. Take a step back and see if they'll come for us. Because we know what we have done here. And it stands for itself. And we are those same people. We have the same abilities, the same intelligence, and the same skills. So let's just stop chasing them and let them chase us. That's what I say. Okay, but let me know what you think about the video. Thank you for listening. Subscribe to the channel, give me a thumbs up, leave a comment, share the video, and as always, have a great day.